This is a follow-up video to the video why collectivists win. It is how collectivists lose. You have to understand how they win in the first place. The first video was kind of standalone, this one is not so much. So the first video will explain how you get from chaos über limited amount of order, über higher degree und order, to a domination situation where one of the groups leads all the others, or at least can dominate them. So today we look to this situation as the start situation, the situation where we ended last time. So you have now your system, and in the system you have one dominant block, and then you have the block that is dominated. So naturally, from the view of the dominant block, you have the idea that we are in the right and we rule over the others. So you understand in the very first place, because you can remember when yourself was just a little block, that the others are different blocks. But for understanding the others, it is easier to say, oh, they're pretty much more or less one block, because they are not us. And over time this block will be solidified and will say, okay, there are only we and the others. So every system goes more or less the way of two factions. But for some reason then the others might win, or the we's do lose. So there's of course this question, why did this happen? And the group that is the closest to the others will say something in the likes from, I can understand that because I talk to them, and when I talk to them I understand what they say, and that's the reason why they gain some power and we did lose some power. But the thing is, for the rest of the dominant group, these guys are pretty much traitors, because they talk to the others, so they have sympathies for the others, and the others are basically evil, so they will say, oh, we don't need you here, go over to the others because you're not one of us. And the thing is, they do, and the others get traction, and more traction, and more traction. So the thing is that those in power have a certain illusion. They think we have all the power, so we have all the people behind us. But in reality it looks often like that. You are a minority with a lot of power, but the others are just more. And this is how all the revolutions begin, the others are just more. But in reality, that's not really the case. The case is that all the others are divided. All the others are also just little groups striving for power, trying to get power, and so on. You have to watch through this lens of we and the others to not see that. If you turn down these glasses, if you see the world as it is, you see the world is pretty complicated. There is not a we and a they. And if there is a we and a they, you have to understand that the we is always pretty tiny compared to all the others. And this is the thing with this left and right thing, is when the lefties always say, oh, but all the right things, and the right wingers do exactly the same. I mean, about 40 years back in time everything was a communist, now everything is a Nazi. It depends who has the power. The interesting thing, and this is something that we learn right now, is that the world is pretty nuanced, and that there is a lot in between left and right and up and down and hin and forth and so on. Individualism, the idea that we all have different agendas, and some of them are compatible, some of them are not so much, is way more interesting than collectivism. And collectivism will always get traction when people are confused and try to seek power in groups, insecurity in groups, and it will always lose power when people don't fear the others. They accept more or less that the others are just other people with other agendas, and that you can live with them pretty peaceful most of the time. And so this is how collectivism loses. And in the end of this video, we are on the beginning of the first one. It's a never-ending cycle.